Intro. This is MOT Sports. Welcome in. It's our second episode here. My name's Colin Gretton. I'm here with my co-hosts Connor Gretton and ZLay72, aka Zach Anderson Esquivel. What's up, boys? How we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Happy to be here.
Awesome.
I'm doing all right, brother. Thanks for asking.
We got a lot on the agenda today to talk about. We got NBA. We've got trade deadline that has happened today. Pretty good trades this year. I was not disappointed for the first time in a while. We got UFC, big card this weekend, UFC 271. And then we've got the Super Bowl Sunday to cap it off. So first, we're going to hop into NBA. What was most, I guess everybody's surprised. Besides that Harden-Simmons deal, what deal were you guys surprised by the most?
I'll let you go first, Con.
You want me to go first? Okay. I'm going to probably go with the Kings and the Pacers, more so from the landscape of the Sacramento Kings perspective of the trade. They get a good high, two-time All-Star Domantas Sabonis. They get that, Vlade Divac, that European definitely connection right there. But I feel like Tyrese Haliburton, he said all the right things. A few weeks prior, he was a really big advocate of the rebuild of the Kings, and he really wanted to stay on board with the team. And then you ship him away when, honestly, he's been your best player this year. A lot of NBA in circles were really shocked with that move. That was probably the one trade. I think Indiana's the winner, obviously, in that deal, getting Haliburton. They kept Buddy Hield. I thought they were going to try to move him, but they kept Buddy Hield as well. And they also got rid of Sabonis, which he wasn't working in Indiana, and they got a really good deal for him. That was the trade I think that really surprised me this week the most. The Harden-Simmons deal was Daryl Morey. We'll get to that later. We saw that coming. I thought that was going to be in the summer, but that was the biggest trade to me, the Sabonis and Haliburton swap.
Yeah. A lot of local media here in Indianapolis is really excited for Haliburton. They're sad to see Sabonis go. I mean, he was a good player here. They just got him a couple years ago from OKC. Remember, he was in the Paul George deal. They shipped off Oladipo. Or they got Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George, excuse me. So, yeah, getting rid of Sabonis is bittersweet, but you're getting a 21-year-old guard whose future all-star potential averages about 15 and 8, and that's only going to go up as the Pacers put pieces around him. He's going to be the centerpiece of the franchise, it looks like.
It speeds up the rebuild.
A little bit. I mean, now
speeds it up. Absolutely.
We're going to do Miles Turner. I mean, Miles Turner can coexist with Sabonis. They're probably going to keep Turner, see if he can play with them. They're going to use the rest of this year as kind of a trial run with Haliburton. And if, he doesn't work out, they're going to look other ways at center. But, yeah, I like that deal a lot for Indiana. A lot of people here love the deal. A lot of people didn't know who Haliburton was, so they had to do a little bit of research. Not everybody's NBA savvy like us, but they had to do their research, and they grew to like the deal. I think that it was the right move for the Pacers, plus moving Karis LeVert. Local media is really excited for the first time in a while that the GM's finally committed to a rebuild, because they've always been kind of hovering around that 8 to 10 seed the last couple of years, and nobody wants to be in the middle. Everybody wants to either commit to the rebuild or compete. So it's good to see they actually picked a side. So I'm going to show some graphics here about some deals that happened, and we can talk about them. It was a really good day in the NBA for trades. Probably the first trade deadline I wasn't disappointed in a long time. All right, so another deal that happened today. Mavericks trade Porzingis to the Wizards. Zach, what do you think about Dallas's haul here for Kristaps?
Honestly, man, I'm not really a big fan of it, but I mean, I kind of understand why they did it. Kristaps has been very injury prone over the last few seasons, and he's hard to rely on, given the money he expects and the money you're going to pay him to be on your team. So
Right.
I totally get the move, but I would have tried to have gotten a little more if I was Dallas.
Yeah, with Brunson there, it's a little puzzling why they took on another point guard. But the best ability is availability, and unfortunately, Kristaps just can't stay healthy. Looks like they have a lot of faith in Bertans to stretch the floor for Luka. It's pretty much just a couple pieces for Luka to play with to try to get into the playoffs. I mean, I was kind of upset with the return as well. I think they could have gotten more, but they said other deals were out there, and this was the best one. So not a lot of people were looking to buy Kristaps.
I mean, it's not like the Wizards got the all-star version of Kristaps. He's obviously a few years past his New York Knicks prime version that we saw.
He's still mid-20s, though. He's not old. He's not an old player.
He's missed 21 games this season. He hasn't played the last 2 weeks. I think the Wizards they're trying to bring in a guy that Brad Beal can play with, and they'll probably bring someone else in the offseason. This also speaks to Dallas' perspective on Jalen Brunson's upcoming contract.
Yep.
Dinwiddie's on contract for a couple of years. Brunson is up for free agency. So maybe they also wanted some insurance there. And also Bertans fits better with Luka than Kristaps does because he's a better shooter.
He is a better shooter.
Spaces the floor better for Doncic to get where he needs to be.
Right. I agree. Let's see another trade that actually kind of surprised me. I kind of like this for Charlotte. So Charlotte gets Montrezl Harrell, and they give up.
I was going to say before we move on.
Ish Smith. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Real quick interjection here.
You're good.
The Kristaps deal was the most surprising to me because we heard about Sabonis being moved to the Kings prior to it happening. So, I mean, with them, Indiana getting Halliburton and all that stuff, but we already knew that Sabonis might land in Sacramento. So nobody's seen Kristaps going to the Wizards.
That makes it surprising, but no one saw Sacramento giving up their best young asset to go get Sabonis. That was the biggest surprise. That's why, it had the league shook yesterday when that trade went down was because of the fact that, De'Aaron Fox was the one in rumors. We never heard Halliburton in a rumor. Halliburton said all the right things. He even said it today in his press conference at Indiana that he's very hurt by the trade. That's what makes it more puzzling for me. Obviously, this one is – I was surprised reading this today, too, with Kristaps, just based on the fact that he was having a pretty good season. But, I mean, he's making $31 million this year, $34 million next year. It's a contract dump at the same time.
Right. Mark Cuban
knows. I'm saying in terms of, return. Because, Kings gave up Halliburton, but at least they got Sabonis back. Who are the Mavericks getting back? Davis Bertans and Dinwiddie, you know what I mean?
And not a lot of people wanted to take on Kristaps' contract with that injury risk. So, it was mentioned that other deals were on the table. This was probably their best return that they felt that they could probably trade Dinwiddie for a couple pieces in the summer and just try to piece it together until then. I'm thinking that's what Dallas is thinking. I think they know they can't win this year, obviously. The West is stacked.
Right.
So, I mean, Phoenix looks the clear winner in the West right now. Then you got other teams coming up as well. So, I think Dallas is just a playoff move and see what we can do in the summer to put better guys around Luka Doncic. Anything else on this deal, guys, before we move on? Because another deal I liked was the Charlotte deal here. Charlotte gets Montrezl Harrell, and they're giving up bums. I mean, they're giving up Ish Smith, backup point guard, and Vernon Carey Jr. I mean, I've heard of him, but, I know every player. I don't think anybody's really ever going to hear of him. So they're getting Montrezl Harrell here. He's got playoff experience. Hornets are really committing to a playoff run right now. I like this deal a lot. I think it's one of the more under the radar deals of the day. They're really bad inside. I think all they have is Plumlee down there. And Nate Richards, who's like an undersized center. He's like 6'7". So
Nick Richards. Yes.
Sorry, not Nate. Nick. Sorry, Nate must be his brother. So we're getting Montrezl Harrell here, and I like that deal a lot.
Yeah, I love it too, man.
Charlotte gets that rim runner with LaMelo. The Hornets already sell out, and they're already playing a very entertaining form of basketball. They're must-see TV. You watch them last night against the Bulls. That was a good up-and-down game. Montrezl Harrell's going to definitely feed off LaMelo Ball in the pick and roll. Trayton Ish-Smith also gives LaMelo more freedom. He's the main focus of Charlotte.
Terry Rozier, he can handle the ball. They probably got other guards on there. It's easy
but it opens up more minutes for him too.
Yeah.
But personally, I really like the deal for Charlotte. There's talks also they were trying to bring in a big. We heard rumors with Miles Turner, Jakob Poeltl.
Yep.
Didn't hear the Harrell rumors, but I think it was a good trade for Charlotte.
Yep.
I think it was a really good trade for them.
I agree as well. I think Harrell's fantasy value went up quite a bit with this move.
Yeah, he'll definitely get more minutes. I mean, there's a logjam of center minutes at the Wizards. You got Gafford and Thomas Bryant, not the most compelling names, but I mean, it's still 3 centers fine for minutes. Now Harrell's going to be getting about 28 to 30 minutes a night, and in the playoffs, he's going to bring the energy. And those home games that you need to win, he's going to be a guy that really feeds off the crowd and can just finish around the rim. They need someone where LaMelo can feel comfortable just lobbing it up and somebody can go dunk it, other than Miles Bridges. So Harrell can do that. Not the best defensively, but that's not their cult. That's not their style of play. They're up and down. They're going to outscore you. That's how they feel like they can win the best. So I liked it a lot.
Right.
That was probably one of my favorite ones of the day. Another one I like. What's up?
Harrell will also bring that toughness factor to the team too.
Yeah, got that playoff experience from with the Clippers, Rockets. I like this one here. What do you guys think about Boston getting Derek White from the Spurs? San Antonio gets Richardson and a 2022 one and Romeo Langford. What do y'all think?
I love it. I love the deal for Celtics. I think they just got better.
Me too.
On the flip side, the Spurs aren't really committing to a playoff run this year, so they get an extra first-round pick for the rebuild. Their team's really young. The roster's really young.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the trades I looked at, and I was like, Boston needing another guard for depth. Just in the East, you can never have too many good guards. Derek White's a good scoring guard. He'll play well next to Marcus Smart. They'll run small with Brown, Tatum, and Robert Williams.
Yep.
That'd be a nice little scoring.
They also got Daniel Tice in there, too. I don't think it was from this deal. It was a different deal. I just thought that was, if you're a Boston fan, that's a nice thing to see coming back. He was a good player for them. I like this. I think that, San Antonio, they're committing to putting pieces around DeJounte. So I don't hate this for them either. They're getting a 2022 one right now. The Celtics are, where are they at, 8 or 9 seed? Right?
Yes.
The Celtics were 10 last week. I believe they're in the 8-9 range. Yep.
They're in that playing game range. We'll just say that. So they're going to be picking in the teens most likely, 18, 16 to 20 range. I think that's a good pick to get for Derek White. I mean, they probably drafted Derek White later than that. I think he was a second-round pick. So
he was a late first-round pick out of Colorado.
So in terms of return on investment, you're getting a proven wing in Josh Richardson. He can help you win some games right now. They are 2.5 games back of the Pelicans for that 10 spot. So they can try to compete. You're getting Langford, young, never know what he can be. And you're getting that pick. That pick can be anywhere.
They also got a pick from a Thad Young deal too. Like they drafted Josh Primo. He was 18, coming out of Alabama. They have Alani Walker. He's still a young guard. So they had a plethora of guards. That's why I liked it for both teams. That was one of the trades I really saw both teams kind of come out as winners.
I think
like a win-win there.
They're angling youth. They're trying to get that pick and just build around DeJounte, as they should.
Yeah, Derek White is a great defender as well. For a guard, he gets pretty good amount of steals and a pretty good amount of blocks.
Yeah, I think Brad Stevens did good with this one. This is probably one of his better trades he's made since he's been there. I mean, in charge of trading. I like this a lot for them. He can learn the toughness from Smart and just learn the culture the Boston way, and I think Boston's going to like this guy a lot. All right, moving on here, we can talk about the biggest deal of the day for him. We're going to talk about the biggest deal here. So, all right, biggest deal is happening about 1:19 p.m. Eastern Time. Philly, they get James Harden, and Paul Millsap is a throw-in. Brooklyn gets Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, a 2022 one, and then a 2027 one. So they Brooklyn got a lot for James Harden today. What do you guys think on this one?
I'll let Zach lead us off here.
Yeah.
I want to hear that reaction.
Okay, so first things first. I believe that Brooklyn fleeced Philadelphia.
Yes.
And I say
100%.
that because they just got better in every area they needed to.
Every area. And they're in the same division as Philly.
Correct. They needed better defense. Ben Simmons is a hellified defender.
Yep, locked
Andre Drummond is great at defense.
And rebounds.
They get shooting with Seth Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get assets with the draft picks. Some pretty valuable assets, if you ask me. And then all they gave up was Harden and Millsap. I mean, Harden's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's still elite. But Millsap, him and Millsap.
Was just a throw-in. But if you look at the roster now, who is the backup to Embiid? If he goes down, who is his backup?
Yeah.
Paul Millsap? Is that his backup now?
It would be, that would be the backup center. I have to do some digging on that roster.
I can see him.
Maybe Charles.
Embiid's not the most healthy player either. He's been injury prone. I mean, he gets hurt.
I think it would be Charles Bassey or Paul Reed would probably step in.
Yeah,
for
so
Embiid,
G League type talent. No disrespect to those guys, but in a playoff race and in the playoffs, if Embiid goes down, their season's probably over regardless. But at least before, they had Andre Drummond they could plug in. He'll get you 15 and 15. Like, he can fill that role pretty well. Brooklyn's like, nope, we're going to take him from you. This makes Philly weaker and Brooklyn stronger. I'm surprised Philly did this with the division rival. I don't know why they did this. Daryl Morey must really love James Harden.
That's what
that relationship in Houston is where I believe they tied back to.
I can see this really hurting Philly. I mean, they did so well.
I mean,
trusting the process.
But the rationale for Philly to make the move is it's a win now, and Ben Simmons wasn't playing this year.
True.
Yeah, but James Harden,
and Ben Simmons still won't be ready for the next.
I get it. You're getting James Harden essentially for Curry and Drummond because Simmons wasn't playing.
The picks don't mean anything. They're going to be late picks for both teams, mid to late picks.
But I'm just thinking about you're strengthening
They're
another.
still assets, though.
They are, yeah. Especially the 2027 and the unprotected pick too. That's a good asset to have. I thought Brooklyn they're trying to bring in someone else with those picks.
Say if I'm trading Ben Simmons, if I'm Philly, I'm not trading him to a division team. I'm trading him to a team out west, a team I won't have to see in the playoffs, and let the Nets
But Ben Simmons is a guy who didn't want to play.
Right.
The fans got on him. He didn't want to play. Therefore, you take a deal that gives you value. The best player they were getting for Ben Simmons was James Harden. I don't think we can disagree that there's a better player that Ben Simmons would have acquired.
We don't know what else is on the table. You're right.
I feel like James Harden provides an elite next to Embiid in a 1-2 punch. I can keep Tobias Harris on the floor, as well as Tyrese Maxey. And it also Thibault opens up more minutes now without Curry there.
Them not having to get – there was talks earlier in the deal that they would have to give up Maxey or Thibault. Them keeping them in this is kind of
that was a win for them. I mean, I feel like the rationale for Philly is different than Brooklyn. Brooklyn is seeing this as a longer-term project, obviously, with Ben being 25. He's going to be playing with Steve Nash, and Ben is a pass-first player. I feel like that's going to be a really good fit. Good fit there. And then also, 76ers, this is the time, like, Embiid is playing the best basketball of his career. We have to bring someone in to help him. because
He's
we
also
don't
been
want him to break
injury-free for the
down. We know
most
his
part.
injury history. We don't want him to break down.
Right. I agree. I mean, I don't disagree with you guys at all. I'm not saying Philly absolutely shouldn't have done this deal. It's just hard for me to believe that you flip him to Brooklyn, a division rival, and if they get knocked out of the playoffs because of Brooklyn, because they made this deal, Morey's the only one to blame. He's going to look back at this deal and probably regret it because Harden's contract is not friendly. He already opted into his player option for next year.
$47 million. Yeah, it's not friendly.
Luckily, they got Maxime Thibault on those rookie deals, so just got to rely on Embiid not getting hurt.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with what Connor was saying. Two totally different perspectives for both teams heading into this deal. Philly wants to win now, and this is a move for the future for Brooklyn. So I get both sides.
I can't remember a trade deadline that was this many Woj bombs.
We didn't even touch a big one from yesterday either.
Which one from yesterday?
CJ McCollum to New Orleans. You called that last week on our first episode.
Pelicans, man. Pelicans gonna make a deal. Yeah, I can find that. Give me a minute here. I like that. I think he made his debut.
Colin and I were both saying. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
Was that the 8th or the 9th that happened?
That was on the 9th. That was yesterday.
On the 9th, website.
That was a trade I really liked for New Orleans. I don't know. Portland got rid of him to get rid of him. They didn't get any significant asset back.
Well, there's a bonus. I like that.
This almost tells me that Damian Lillard will be moved in the offseason as well.
Yes.
Given the fact that he lost his sidekick in CJ.
Right.
McCollum to the Pelicans for a lot, like Alexander Walker. They got a second rounder from Utah on that. So pretty much they traded McCollum for a 1 and a 2 because all of those guys are throw-ins. They're not going to bring any value. Sorry, 3 2s and a 1.
Josh Hart will be the only player that could get significant minutes and prove some type of value. But
love this for the Pelicans. Love it for New Orleans.
Tomas and Nikhil already got flipped to other teams.
What's up?
Tomas Satoransky and Nikhil Alexander Walker already got flipped to other teams.
Right.
Satoransky went to the Spurs, and then Nikhil went to the Jazz.
And I like that a lot for the Jazz, picking up a shooter for a second-round pick. He averages 13 a game. I mean, he'll be nice off the bench in that system. I mean, I understand why Portland did it. They're giving Simons the keys now. Here you go. You're going to be our future guard. Face of the franchise once they move Dame. So this is probably the best return they could have gotten from McCollum, a first-round pick and a lot of 2s. Hopefully they nailed that pick. But you just wish to see they get more for him, you know? He's still like an all-star caliber player. I don't know. I wish I would have seen him get a little bit more than this collection of assets, I should say.
Yeah, I tell you what, I definitely like the Pelicans to make that play-in game now.
Yeah, I mean, if Zion comes back, which I called last week, which I think he will, probably March or April, watch out for New Orleans. I mean, you got Ingram, Zion, McCollum, and Jonas. That's a solid lineup.
Solid core.
With Herb Jones. That's a good 5. I like that 5.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, that's NBA trades. A lot happened today. We're excited as NBA fans to see how it plays out. March 10th, we got Philly versus Brooklyn. That'll be the first time we see them go up against each other. I'm sure that'll be all over the TV. So right around March Madness time, we got that to look forward to as well. All right, moving on. We got this weekend, Saturday night, we got a solid card of UFC. UFC 271. This is Zach's forte here. Got UFC coming up. I'm going to show you some of the guys that we're going to be looking at here. And, we'll talk about Zach, what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Green versus Nasrat first and just work our way up?
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
Okay. All right, so as you can see on the screen here, they're pretty much the same size. I mean, one's a southpaw, one's orthodox. What does orthodox mean? I'm not a UFC guy. So is that just righty?
Orthodox means that the right hand is your dominant hand.
Okay.
Southpaw left hand's your dominant.
Gotcha. So, all right.
Yes,
out of
orthodox.
uh,
Your dominant hand's right, southpaw left.
we got Green, which is minus 150, and then we got Nasrat plus 125. Who do we like? Who do we like in this one?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start by saying, like, Bobby Green looked great in his last out against Al Iaquinta. That was his last fight, by the way. He retired after that loss. But Bobby's a little older now, and he's still good. But Nasrat is a up-and-coming young guy. He's only 26. So, and, you know, I feel like with the UFC, they like to build their young guys. You know what I mean? Like, they like to try to build them up and bring them along slowly. So, like, I feel like Bobby Green is like a gatekeeper type of fight for Nasrat. And gatekeeper meaning if he beats Bobby, he's going to go on to fight more quality opponents. You know, guys that are ranked, maybe top 10, top 12.
So you're saying this is a big fight for Nasrat to kind of
like cement his status for deserving the bigger fights. And getting the tougher competition. Yes. So as far as betting, if you're a betting person,
got that pulled up
we
right
all
here.
like to dabble in that a little bit. I'm not sure why Nasrat's an underdog. So I feel like you got to hammer that. You got to hammer that money line, Nasrat.
So we got plus
I really like him to win. Yes, I think he wins by finish, man, because he's a striking specialist as it is. Bobby Green is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. I think Nasrat finds a way to finish him, and that's how I think the fight goes. I'll say knockout in the second round. That'll be my prediction, Nasrat.
Knockout second round. Hold up. Let me get the odds on that. I'm just going to say 2 knock him out. How many rounds are there? I
like that better.
There's 3 rounds, Colin.
3 rounds. Yes. Thank you. As you can tell, I'm not a UFC guy. I don't watch it.
It's a non-title fight. So non-title fights are 3 rounds. Title fights are 5 rounds.
Title fights are the 5 rounds. That's Adesanya because that's a title fight, which we'll get to later.
Yes. Yep. Adesanya and Whitaker. That's great.
Okay. Maybe it's method of victory that I'm looking for, boys. All right, method of victory. We got Nasrat to knock him out at plus 500. Wow, love the value. Love the value. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. That's a good bet.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me get the card back up here. All right.
Yeah, and also Nasrat's coming off a loss to Dan Hooker in his last one. And Dan Hooker is a pretty good, like he's a very tough opponent. So I feel like Nasrat will come out hungry and he'll get the job done. He'll find a way.
Next, we got Kyler Phillips versus Marcelo Rojo.
Yep.
Don't know anything about these boys.
Kyler Phillips is actually a training partner of Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
He trains with Sugar. Yeah. So
that's probably why he's minus 385 here.
Well, that, and since he's been in the UFC, he's made quite the splash. I believe he's only lost once since he's been in the UFC. And that was his most recent fight against Holly and Paiva. And Sean O'Malley just knocked out Holly and Paiva. So I'm not saying just because they're training partners, he'll win. But I feel like Kyler Phillips is a very nice up-and-coming talent. And I think, he just had a little blemish that last fight against Paiva. I think he'll bounce back. I really like him to bounce back Saturday night.
But I was reading good stuff on Phillips earlier.
Dude, he's really explosive. He's a really explosive guy.
Is he more of a knockout guy or win by decision? So you just do his fights go the distance.
So he's had some fights that have went the distance, but then other fights he's gotten finishes. So he's still early in the UFC. He hasn't really had that many fights in the UFC yet.
Okay.
So you can't really say.
Is that where you're leaning?
I think Kyler will win this one by decision, unanimous.
Is that by points?
Yes, by decision. Yep, points.
By points is the same as decision? Okay. I don't know. So
Wait. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That means they win by decision. That's correct. I just had to double check and read it because you know how every sports book is different.
A little different. Yeah, handle. I mean, this is
word
one I
and format things, you know.
All right. Yeah. Next one, we got Derek Brunson versus Jared. What is it? Cannoneer.
Jared Cannoneer.
Yep. There's got to be more emphasis on the E, you know.
You going in based on his name, Colin?
I like him based on the name, dude. Cannoneer. Let's go, dude.
Yes. So on this one's a middleweight clash.
Okay.
Derek Brunson has looked phenomenal his last few fights. He has
he's won his
guys
last
like
5
Kevin
fights.
Holland. Yeah, he has big wins against guys like Kevin Holland, Edmund Shabazian. He actually gave Edmund Shabazian his first loss. Edmund Shabazian was undefeated before Derek Brunson beat him. I believe he was 10-0 before Derek Brunson beat him. But Derek Brunson's been on a tear. And I mean, you can just tell that like he's improving like with almost every fight. And it's kind of amazing because he's an older guy himself, you know, such as Bobby Green, but he's still like finding a way to become a better fighter, it seems like. And he's more patient now than what I've seen him in the past against guys like Israel Adesanya, who we're going to talk about here in a little bit, the defending middleweight champ. He seemed like he was really impatient in the fight with him. He rushed to try to do a lot of things and, you know, put himself out of position. And that's ultimately what got him knocked out by Izzy. But now he's more patient. He's more calculated. He's more strategic. And that's why you're seeing that reflect in his performance. And that's why he's, like Connor mentioned, he's won his last 5 fights. So
yeah, my guy Cannon here, he's a knockout
artist.
artist.
At the same time, yes, I was going to say Jared Cannoneer is an explosive guy himself.
I'm still call him Cannon, dude, because he's got a cannon. All right. I've got a knockout artist, and then Brunson is good at takedowns to counter that. So this is why I was leaning Brunson money line out of my picks when I was looking earlier. But I knew you would have more in-depth analysis on that. That's just what I took notes on. Brunson was good at countering his style of fighting.
Yes, very much so. So Cannoneer is a striker. Like, that's his calling card. He's a striker. He has good movement, good accuracy, things of that nature. Derek Brunson is a wrestler by heart. That's his calling card. He's a great wrestler.
It's by points. Give or take, it'll go the distance, right?
I would say this fight goes the distance, yeah. I would say Derek Brunson by decision.
So we're going to do Derek Brunson by points plus 280 here on this.
I like Cannoneer. I like him, and he could get the victory here, but I'm going Brunson because I've just liked what I've seen from Brunson recently compared to Cannoneer. And not only that, but Brunson is such a great takedown artist, as Colin just alluded to. I feel like he's going to be able to negate that great striking that Cannoneer has with the takedowns. And trust me, a guy like Derek Brunson, he will find a way to get those takedowns. So I think Derek Brunson gets the win in this one.
All right. And the next one here, we got a hometown guy from Houston where this UFC 271 is going to be taking place. Derek Lewis versus, was it Tai Tuivasa? Did I say that correctly?
Tai Tuivasa.
Tuivasa. He's the guy that knocked out Greg Hardy in a minute.
Yep, and he drinks beer out of a shoe. Love him. Love that. Drinks beer out of a shoe. Got that on my notes.
He also beat Augusto Sakai recently too, which was a pretty good win as well.
So what are some of the good things so first of all, who do you like and why? And then we can talk about KO versus points or submission. Okay,
so this one's tough for me because I really, really like the path that Tuivasa is going down, and I feel like he has a great future in the UFC. I really do. I even think he could potentially be champion one day. Post like Francis, Cyril Gane, etc. But he likes to bang, man. He likes to bang, and all of his fights are just straight slugfest. And Derek Lewis is the last guy you want to get into a slugfest with, other than Francis Ngannou. So, and not only that, but the last time that Derek Lewis fought in front of his hometown crowd of Houston, he was embarrassed by Cyril Gane, and I'm sure he wants to make up for that disappointment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in a battle of fire meets fire, I feel like Derek Lewis comes out on top because I just don't see Tuivasa overpowering Derek Lewis.
So we're going to take Derek Lewis in a knockout.
Yes. This fight's going to end in a knockout. I don't believe it ends in a decision. It's going to be a finish. That's for sure.
Okay.
One way or the other, but I really like Derek Lewis. I think he bounces.
Yeah, I'm not taking any. I'm not going to pick against a guy that's fighting in his hometown. That's just extra motivation to not lose.
But don't get me wrong, Tuivasa will be a force to be reckoned with in the future. Like he will, even if he loses Saturday night, he'll bounce back. He'll be back. He's a really good talent. I really like him.
All right, next one we got Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whitaker. Adesanya,
yes, the rematch.
What do you do? Well, he's looking for his fourth consecutive title defense. He knocked out Whitaker back in 2019 to take the title. So it's a little bit of a rematch. Whitaker's been working his way back to get this opportunity.
Yeah, so when they fought the first time, before they fought the first time, Izzy had won the interim middleweight belt against Kelvin Gastelum because Whitaker was hurt. So normally they have interim belt fights whenever the champion is hurt or they're away from the company for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So Izzy beats Gastelum, wins the interim belt. And then fast forward to that, late 2019 fight with Whitaker. That was to unify the belt for either man. So Izzy ended up unifying it and becoming the actual middleweight champ and not the interim champ by knocking out Whitaker. But I think we're going to see a lot better Whitaker in this fight because Whitaker, just like Brunson, has been on a tear since he's lost to Izzy. I don't know what it is with these guys, but they lose to Izzy and then something like snaps in them, and then maybe it's the learning experience from fighting such a great opponent such as Izzy. I mean, he could go down as easily one of the greatest UFC fighters ever. So,
yeah, definitely agree with you there. I mean, he's a. So what are we picking here? What are we picking? Adesanya?
Okay, so yes, I was gonna say I'm taking Adesanya, but do not be surprised if Robert Whitaker takes him to the brink and makes it so hard on him to earn the victory.
So we're talking points. You lean points.
Yes, I like Adesanya by decision.
Okay. All right. So right now we got Nasrat by knockout, Kyler Phillips by points, Derek Brunson by points, Derek Lewis by knockout, and then Adesanya by points. So we got 3 fights going the distance, 2 ending in knockout. $1 wins us $450. So if you want to take a shot on this shot parlay, throw a little buck on it, I'll probably do it. I'm gonna lock this in after the pod, just for fun. Give me something to pay attention to Saturday night.
But yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this card. The main event, obviously, because it's a rematch, and there's bad blood between both guys, so I'm really looking forward to it.
12:30 in the morning, man. It's hard for me to stay awake, to watch that.
Yeah, sometimes the very last fight of the night isn't until like 12:30, 1 a.m. But I'm telling you what, man, Whitaker's gonna make it hard on Izzy. He really is. He's gotten way better with like his takedowns. I feel like he's gonna try to incorporate that more into the second fight. But at the same time, Izzy's gotten so good with his takedown defense. I mean, yes, we've seen him get taken down at will by Jan Blachowicz when he tried to move up to light heavyweight and become double champ, but he ultimately failed. But it's because Jan was able to get takedowns at will. He was just too big, too strong. You know what I mean? At middleweight, it's a different story. Middleweights don't have as easy of a time taking down Adesanya, or at least attempting to. So it'll be interesting to see if Rob's recent developments in the wrestling game will pay dividends or not. So I'm really excited to see that. And of course, I'm excited to see Adesanya because Adesanya is such a beautiful striker. I mean, his movement is just impeccable. I mean, it's just art, like watching that man, like in the octagon. So I can't wait, man. But then Derek Lewis, Tuivasa, that's going to be a banger. So
yeah, dude,
it's
sounds
going
like
to be a good card.
Which is good. So when it says UFC 271, that means there was 270 UFC main events before this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I just didn't know
been,
some random numbers. Just boom, here you go. Okay, cool.
That's my
last comment on that.
Yeah, that means there's been 270 like prior like pay-per-views and big
Pay-per-view
events.
fight. Okay.
To 271. Correct.
Man, the UFC 1 was lit.
Yeah. That was going way back. I think that was mid-90s.
I mean, yeah. That's how I don't know how long Dana White's been around, but probably since then. All right, so moving on.
Yeah, like early 90s, mid-90s.
We have the trade deadline. We have UFC Saturday night. Then we're going to transition into the Super Bowl. That's Sunday night. So up next, we're going to talk about some player props. We talked about our predictions last week. We'll touch base on it again. We'll talk about our player props for the Super Bowl. So while Zach's getting some water, Con, you want to give us some bets that you're looking at?
Some bets right now where sports books are favoring is, they're favoring Los Angeles to cover 3.5.
I got -4 here.
The line's been moving down towards Cincinnati here in the last couple days. It'll probably stay around 3.5 to 4 while we get kickoff. And I said it last week. I'm still a bit advocate of the Rams. They're on their home field. I still think, if you don't want to lay the points, the money line's always a safe bet as well.
Yeah, -198.
I just think, from the perspective of if you really want to bet or whatever it may be, I just think the Rams are at those odds are very favorable to win the game. That's one bet I've been looking at. Obviously, you can bet on everything from the coin toss to the national anthem to the color of the Gatorade. Lime green, by the way, will be my prediction on the lime green.
Lime green. Hold up, I was trying to find some weird props like that. I can't find them on here right now. Give me a sec here. Oh, we got coin toss. All right, heads or tails? I'm gonna go tails. All right.
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. We're going tails.
I like it. Okay.
Then I couldn't find the Gatorade. Sorry, Con.
No worries. It's I believe it was on DraftKings when I saw it last. So.
Oh, okay.
Different book. But.
All right. Prop I like if you're gonna be betting the Rams instead of the -198. I mean, a little chalky. Let's go Super Bowl MVP because if the Rams are gonna win, more than likely Stafford, I believe, will be MVP. I want to say quarterbacks are MVPs 65 to 70% of the time. So yeah, you got that long shot of Cooper Kupp catching a couple touchdowns. That could be a long shot.
That's who I rolled with.
Small bet.
2 weeks ago, I went with Cooper Kupp.
But I think plus money here, 125. This is amazing value. I mean, if you think Rams are going to win, he's probably going to be MVP because he's going to spread it out to Kupp. He's going to spread it out to Odell. He's going to get Van Jefferson involved. I think Stafford's going to have a really good game. 275 plus passing yards, 2 touchdowns.
7 of the past 10 MVPs, Colin, have been quarterbacks.
Exactly. Yeah. So 70%. So yeah, if I'm going to, instead of picking a money line, which I will, I'll probably do that. But I mean, if you want to pick the Bengals on the flip side, if the Bengals are winning 100%, it's going to be because of Joe Burrow. So I would go Joe Burrow plus 230 for MVP if you believe the Bengals are going to win. You could pick whichever quarterback you think is the winning team is going to be, and then just bet their MVP odds. You're getting plus money both times here. So I like that a lot. Anything catch your eye, Zach, that we've been looking at? I mean, you could even bet on first pass complete. I mean, that's just insane. Those odds just changed.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say, if the Rams do win, which I'm still sticking to my Bengals pick, just saying. But if the Rams do win, I don't see how Stafford is an MVP, unless Cooper, like you said, has multiple touchdowns, over 100 yards, like 12 catches, something like that. But
right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Donald win it either, because I feel like
Aaron
if
Donald,
Rams win,
you want to throw a
if
little
Rams
quick?
win, he'll have a huge part in that. I feel like
a quick $5 on Donald. He's getting you $75 because I mean he'll probably have 3 or 4 sacks if he has his way with that O-line.
Right.
I mean, he's got better odds than Odell and Jamar Chase. He's the 4th best guy on this slate for that.
Right.
That's not bad. Let's see here.
I was gonna say the bets that I'm looking at and that I'm liking. One's on DraftKings. It's Odell Beckham Jr. to get 5+ receptions, and it's plus 100.
It's a good prop. He's been heavily involved in that offense. I expect him to have a pretty big game Sunday night, as a lot of people do. He's been more incorporating the game plan. He's been a red zone target for Staff, a red zone beast. You can even sprinkle a touchdown in there too. And also Cincinnati, they're 26th against the pass, 5th against the rush. We know that secondary isn't, they've stepped up in the playoffs, but they're also susceptible to big plays. They've gave up big plays this year, so should be a good game. Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey, something I'm really going to watch a lot, keep my eye on as we're watching the game. How Bengals I expect them to get Chase involved early with some quick screens and to maybe a jet sweep or two, get the ball in his hands to kind of ease the pressure of a rookie being in the Super Bowl and everything.
Yeah, we got Jamar Chase yards 80.5. That's interesting here. I don't know. Under 80.5. I can see that too with Ramsey on him. I think T. Higgins over 68. I would rather touch that than go Chase. Just because Rams secondary is a little depleted.
Yes, and then like Connor was saying, Jalen Ramsey's been lobbying to shadow Chase the majority of the game. So I feel like with him being the kind of caliber player he is, I feel like the coaching staff will capitulate to him and allow him to do that. So I will love to see that matchup between Chase and Ramsey if that ends up being the case.
That's going to be a great matchup.
But I think, yes, I think maybe Ramsey don't completely shut him down, but I don't see Chase doing anything too crazy against Jalen Ramsey.
And then down here, we can touch base. We got, so right here, I mean, it says plus 100. We just found it for plus 125. So still plus money. Stafford over under 279. I like him to throw 280. And I think if you're going to bet the over, you might as well just bump it up to 300. Get that a little bit at plus money. For some reason, the passing touchdowns are only over 1.5. That's at DraftKings. You can bet his passing touchdowns 1.5 there. You can parlay that with like Cooper Kupp, 100+ receiving yards, which is right down here. I like that a lot, over 102. That's his line right now.
He's hit it in 70% of the games. I'm one of the biggest Kupp fans, And
he did it against Tampa.
Yeah, we know, Connor.
San Fran.
All in on my boy Coop. I believe he's going to have a big game on Sunday. I think
those two teams are top 10 in pass defense. The Bengals are not. They're like in the bottom third of the league. So I like Cooper Kupp a lot.
So, I know we're talking about bets and all that stuff because it's becoming such a big mainstream when it comes to sports and kind of changing the landscape and everything. How do you guys feel like, with other things with the Super Bowl this year? Are we looking forward to the halftime show? That's been a big thing.
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's in LA, so that's his, that's his home. That's his home, man.
That's his home turf. Absolutely, yeah.
Who else is in it? Snoop Dogg. Who else? Dr. Dre.
Thought Eminem was in it too.
Eminem? Oh, man. It's going to be a classic.
Yeah. Eminem is performing at halftime.
Yeah.
It's great.
Not as good as Shakira. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Shakira and J-Lo, hard to beat. But
Mary J. Blige is the headliner, I believe. One of them.
okay.
But
Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, if you guys were going to be doing some props, I would look to do same game parlays and do like 2 to 3 props you guys like, and I would look to pair Stafford and Cup. And if you like the Bengals, a lot of people are on the underdog this whole postseason. I would look to go Burrow Chase or Burrow Higgins. And then if you're going to bet money line on the Rams, I would pivot that to Stafford MVP because that's plus 125.
So you're expecting an air it out type of game then if we're doing the stacks. And was that how we're thinking the game plans are going to be?
That's how both teams got here. Both teams and Zach Taylor is from the McVay coaching tree where I don't think Mixon's going to be able to run without that O-line, man. His over-under was 64.5. I'm hammering the under on that. I don't think he hits 60 rushing yards, even if he gets 20 carries. They've
been trying to use him more in the passing game as well.
Yeah. Give me Mixon under 60.
Oh, sorry, Colin.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, to your point, Connor, it could be a lower scoring game, but I feel like with the championship games being low scoring, I don't know. I feel like Super Bowl will be a little more high scoring. NFL wants to put out an exciting product for the biggest game of the year. So I feel like both teams will show up, and I feel like both teams will put on a show. Am I thinking it'll be 52 to 42? No. But at the same time, I could see 50 or more points being put up, and hence that's why I like the over for the game.
We'll see what happens. Should be a really good game. I'm excited to come back next week and Cooper Kupp winning that MVP. Couple touchdown catches. He set unprecedented records this year. Should be a good game. I think we all agree that we just want to see a really good game.
Yeah.
That's to end the season.
Yeah, we don't want to see Tampa Bay, Kansas City repeat, which, I mean, that Bengals O-line, you saw what Tampa's D-line did to Mahomes last year. That Rams D-line could do that to Burrow, but we just love Joe Burrow. We love the swagger.
He'll be ready to play. It'll be really excited. I'm really excited to see how he handles the moment because, it's not every day you see someone dominate college football the way he did, and then 2 years later, now you're in the Super Bowl. We're having Tom Brady retiring. He wins this game.
Gronk wants to play with Burrow.
We're trending into a new type of golden boy for the NFL, which is AFC. We can have that conversation. I just think Stafford is like, hey, what about me? You guys are forgetting I've thrown for 50,000 yards.
Yep. I think McVay learned his lessons losing to Bill Belichick. Right after the game, he's like, I just got out-coached. I think he's not going to get out-coached by the guy he helped get the Bengals job, and Zach Taylor.
He'll be ready.
He's not going to let that happen. I just see him taking every measure to ensure that does not happen and the Rams come out victorious here. And it's in LA. You can't lose a freaking home game for a Super Bowl. But I did see the lowest ticket price go sub 4K today. So last week we were looking.
$10,000 was last week, correct?
I think it was like 5 or 6 for the nosebleeds. Yeah. It went down sub 4. So
in comparison, I bought a Pistons Hornets ticket for $120 today.
Oh, yeah, you're going to see LaMelo ball tomorrow.
I'll talk about it next week on the pod if my dreams come true. LaMelo, if you're watching, make a young man's dream come true. I'll be there ready for you, man.
He's 20. He's younger than you. You ain't no young man. But, yeah.
All right, guys. So I'll chime in and say in regards to the Super Bowl, I'm still sticking with the Bengals. I get everything you guys are saying.
What's the score?
What's the
score? What's your score?
Oh, yeah.
I get they have more talent. Okay. Last week I said 27-20. I'm switching it.
Well, if you're going 30, the over, you got to switch it.
What is it?
Yes. I'm going 30-24.
No, go 34-31. The Simpsons predicted it. There's an episode of The Simpsons. Bengals win 34-31 against LA. You got to throw $1 on it. I threw $1 on it. I think it's worth it just for the narrative.
For them to win 34-31?
34-31. The Simpsons predicted it on an episode back in the day. Homer lift up his shirt and it's a Cincinnati Bengals
for
win.
This year specifically.
No, it's just them in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Super Bowl prediction.
That's still crazy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Simpsons never get anything wrong, right? So throw a little $1 on it.
Man.
I threw $1 on it. $1 wins 100.
So pretty much.
What's up?
Nice. So pretty much. I was just gonna say that. Pretty much. Sometimes teams just have a certain swagger about them. You know. Sometimes teams just have a certain destiny they're meant for, and I feel like this is all shaping up to be for the Bengals. I feel like this is their time. This is their destiny. I mean, you got to think. This is a team that went without a playoff win for 30 years, right? Before they got one again, finally. I mean, they've been in the slumps as a franchise as a whole. They haven't really had anybody to hang their hat on as far as QB-wise. I mean, they had Dalton, yeah, but
right.
He could have did a little better, you know.
Yeah,
now they got somebody who's somebody now who's being compared to Brady.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like the Bengals defense has been playing better as of late too. So I think they get it done, man. I think they find a way. But at the same time,
I like it too.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Rams.
Okay. Well, we're pretty much done with our episode. It sounds like somebody's speaker's blowing up, so that's cool. I don't know whose that is. One of you guys. But anyway, I got the Rams. Con also has the Rams, I want to say.
I do have the Rams winning Sunday. Okay. Yes, sir.
Got the Rams. All right. So, yeah, we got 2 Rams, 1 Bengals. Well, there you go, Connor. It was definitely you. Thanks
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Okay. Zach muted.
Oh, it was Zach muted. Anyway,